Well, I used to have a chair out here, but I don't know where the heck it is. So, I guess I'll have to just adjust on the fly. So I finally got it figured out. Not the chair issue, but NextJS. This morning, as the sun was coming up, I decided I'd do a little bit of research and kind of figure out a little bit more about NextJS 13. That's NextJS's update. And like one person described it as like basically NextJS just rewrote their entire framework to improve it. It's not entirely accurate, but the changes are pretty significant. And what I found for what I'm building here, which is a community-driven platform, and that was the context in which I kind of was talking to ChatGPT, browse with Bing, which is nice, really nice, so it can actually get updated on things currently. Is that going to be annoying? Nah, it should be fine. Rooster's just telling everybody to wake up, I guess, or us and the two neighbors we have. So I was trying to figure out, like app router versus pages router. I was reading some like older documentation, not official documentation, but just like a Medium post or something like that about the pages router when I was working on just that little devnotesdaily.com website. I specify that just because this one's also a DevNotes website, platform, app, whatever. But the devnotesdaily.com simple sign up stuff, I was like, okay, if I want to create a new page over here, because I was going to create my own privacy policy, where should I put that? Because this is saying about pages and all this over here, and this is saying about app. So app router, it has a new app directory, so it's different. So everything over here is outdated, or not everything, but that aspect is outdated in regards to the app directory versus pages directory, or app router versus pages router. And in the context of what we're building over here, the app router introduces concepts of layouts, error components, and loading components, which can be crucial for managing different UI states in a community-driven website. It also updated everything to utilize all of React 18, which is React's new update, or I don't know how new it is actually, but presumably it's new because, that's a good move on Next.js's part, since Next.js is kind of, what's the right term? React-based framework? So you want to make sure that you stay up to date with the framework in which you're based on. So that's a good thing. So it takes advantages, or leverages, I should say, React server components for building the UI, which could potentially lead to faster rendering and a more responsive user interface. Structured routing, so it helps with managing these complex user interfaces and navigational structures and whatnot. And it's just the natural evolution of routing from pages router to app router. So app router is a natural, that's what I just said, existing file system based on router. It makes the transition smoother while leveraging React's latest features. That's the difference in what I was trying to figure out and determine from app router and pages router. Why are the directories named different from this documentation to that documentation? I was confused. Now I'm not. And there are a lot of other benefits to the new Next.js 13 that, will utilize a lot of things. Are just like, it's faster, it's the structure's better, it's better laid out and things of that nature. No pun intended with the whole new layout concept. But one thing is the new library for social media optimization, which will help in creating dynamic social card images, enhancing shareability and engagement on social media platforms. This, presumably by definition, is a social media platform. It's not something I'm trying to just get a bunch of random people on, but it's a subreddit. It's a Hacker News. It's a Discord server, which I will consider social media. So social media optimization, that's a good addition as well. I'm not going to go on and on and on about Next.js 13 more than I already have, but the reason why I was doing all of this research, not just to learn more about what I'm working with, but because I always have second guesses, especially once, like last video in Dev Startup series, I decided it was a good idea to start up the boilerplate. But that's because, like, maybe I had a little bit of nervous energy because I'm recording the series and I want it to be entertaining, but also I want to make sure I can focus on all this over here. So I was trying to figure it all out. So I'm like, I already knew NextJS was what I wanted to use, but I needed to make sure I knew more about NextJS 13, so I'm utilizing it properly and I don't get confused anymore about like app router versus pages router or directories or whatever. But also supabase. I didn't do much research into supabase before, but I did last night, and I was just looking into it a bit, and because obviously there's supabase, there's Firebase, there's MongoDB. And MongoDB has a bunch of other, like, I don't know, they have like Realm and Atlas and this and that, and I don't know enough about it in order to make an educated decision, or rather make an educated explanation on it, because I've only used MongoDB like twice, and that was like probably a couple years ago now. And with my research, obviously there's going to be diehards for Firebase, there's going to be diehards for MongoDB, there's going to be advocates for either one. Maybe they have their own incentives as to why they're saying it. But I did see a lot of positive things about supabase, and in regards to, like, it's free up to 100,000 monthly users, whereas Firebase is free up to 50,000. And then beyond the 50,000 for Firebase, it's like 0.0055 cents from there on out. But for supabase, it's like 0.00325. So not quite half. But we are getting double the amount of free users and then almost paying half from there on out. And it also has authentication. I've heard a lot of good things. I think it'll be a fun database to use, but not only fun because that's not the only idea, but beneficial, useful, and the ability to grow into whatever this platform becomes, whether it becomes a platform or not. Because one thing I didn't realize, or I didn't really think about, is what happens if not only the platform flops. I mean, I guess it would be a fun project. What happens if this video series flops and nobody likes these videos? Well, not nobody, but like it just gets way less views than like my average video. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something maybe I'll only work on for the next month or two, probably month, while I build out this platform and get like the MVP launched. And then maybe I'll make it, instead of 3 times a week, maybe just 1 time a week if it's just not being received well. So if you really like the series and you want it to continue, share it with your friends, I guess. I don't know. I want it to be successful. If you want it to be successful, yeah, do something like that. Comment, like, and just because that helps with the algorithm in theory. But with supabase, I still have to do more research. We're going to have to dive in and ensure. I got to double check to make sure all the everything's set up. The authentication is set up. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and check because, again, there was a little bit of nervous energy, a little bit of all this stuff going on where I couldn't focus and retain all the information that I was working on because I was trying to record and all this. So learning as I go. So I'll have to learn more about that. I have to go in and build the database schemas and things of that nature at some point soon. And then Node.js is another thing. So Node.js just got a recent update like 3 days ago, Node.js 21. And that has it has new V8 engine, not to be confused with the vehicle's V8 engine. And it has a lot of other aspects that I did a little bit of research on this morning, but I'm not going to really dive into. We did dive into it on today's issue of Dev Notes newsletter. So obviously that's the whole, idea. If you want to stay up to date on these things, that's where you're going to be able to stay up to date on it, not just me randomly talking about it in these videos, or the Dev Notes YouTube channel, which I'll link in the description as well. That's just kind of like little 2, 3, 4 minute digestible videos about same type of content that's on the newsletter, programming content, computer science research, things of that nature. And I think that's all that we have for today's talk. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to go with the database schema and try to, get all that situated? Or do I want to do something a little bit more fun and work on the UI? I don't know. I guess we'll find out here in a second, all right? It would be a good idea to
actually record this. So when I was going through the project, I was trying to figure out, what order to go about it. I don't want to overcomplicate things, but I wanted to make sure everything's done right. So handy dandy ChatGPT kind of put out all this planning and design, so sketch and wireframes, clear outline, specification, blah, 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 database schema, and then a lot of other things. The database schema I thought was interesting to go before basically everything else other than the overall ideation. And this is also in context of it knows I already built, out the boilerplate. I already have like kind of the project set up. So database schema. I'm like, well, why database schema before front-end dev or back-end logic? Back-end logic makes sense, right? But before like front-end dev. Well, it says creating a database schema before diving into front-end or back-end development can be crucial for several reasons. So clear understanding. Having a clear database schema helps you and your team have a unified understanding of the data structure. It's like having a blueprint before constructing a building, consistency, efficient development, blah, blah, blah. So I figured I would go ahead and do that, but not do it by myself. I want you, ChatGPT, to put together the database schema based on what you know about my project, which again, I've said 1,000 times, this is what it's like. Ensure it's compatible with current supabase. So I am using web browsing, browse with Bing on this one, although I didn't see it populate this information, so I'm not sure if it actually, hold on, I'm not sure if it actually did look at, I assume it did look at the actual, actually, hold on. This, I did see it populate when I was talking to, so look, see, finished browsing. That's interesting. Because over here, we have no finished browsing. So does that mean this is all update with current supabase? When I say current, I just mean like now. Not early 2022 or whenever the data ran out for ChatGPT, but like now. And I said, walk me through the process and or tell me how to do it. Why not, right? Use all the tools that you can at your to your advantage. And this is also one thing that is interesting about, I obviously made the video about how AI is going to replace a handful of developer jobs. And it'll also create developer jobs or whatever term it's going to be given. But things like this are a bit safer, or much safer. I was obviously talking about, people comment on that video and I guess they didn't watch the video, because I was obviously talking about and clearly stated junior developers who just come in, do simple tasks, leave. All they have to do is in the task management software, instead of applying it to you or giving it to you, assigning it, that's a word, assigning it to you, they just assign it to the AI and it can do exactly what you do, submit a pull request that has to be code reviewed anyway, done. But something like this, where you're building it from the ground up, you can use AI tools to your advantage to make it more streamlined, but it's going to be quite a while. I don't know, quite a while, at least, for you to be able to say, hey, I want to just build me a complete subreddit style web application using Supabase, using NextJS, using this, using that, and then it actually whipping it up. Presumably. Maybe, hopefully. I don't know, actually. Probably. So tables. Let's go to the table editor over here. Should I just remove myself? You know what? Let me throw myself over. Not over there. Hold on now. Over. As a matter of fact, I kind of have to do it like this. I'm going to move maybe me down here. Make it a little bit cleaner because this goes off screen. So got to make it a little bit easier to read for y'all and for me. I'm just going to go ahead. So these are example tables in Supabase Table Editor. I've put ChatGPT up there. We're going to follow that. So new table. Well, we already have a users table. So let me delete users table first. Drop with Cascade. Warning, dropping with Cascade may result in unintended consequences. All dependent objects will be removed, as will any objects that depend on them recursively. Or could I just edit these? I can easily delete it, but can I edit? Edit table. So the name, users, obviously that's what we want. Okay, so we have the columns here. So we have ID. We need that, of course. We have full name. We don't want full name. We want username. I don't care about your full name. Do I care about your full name? I don't know. Let's make this email. Okay, so I guess we'll stick with text. Billing address. We don't need that. Password hash. It's actually recommending these be varchar. So ID, serial, primary key, done. Username and email varchar, and password hash varchar, created at, updated at, timestamp. Why is it varchar as opposed to text? Well, this is text, so it is aware that text is a thing, maybe since it's not fully up to date. I just wanted to make sure of that, so let's go ahead and do that. Username is going to be varchar. Perfect. Email is going to be varchar. Password hash. Varchar is variable. Character, so is it varchar? I don't know. Created at, timestamp, updated at, timestamp. So we can delete this one. We want to add a column. Created at timestamp. And then add column. Of course, I'm in the way again. That's so annoying. Let me keep moving myself around, and I just got to remember where I am so y'all can actually, to ensure that y'all can see. Updated at, this will be a timestamp. What's the difference between timestamp and timestamp TZ? So that includes time zone. Yeah, we don't need that, I don't think. Let's save. Up here behind me, it does say, okay, successfully created column, successfully created and updated users. Okay, all is good for users. What do we need next? Posts, so that's users table. Posts, comments, votes. Posts, comments, votes. We'll obviously add more as we need it, but that is fine for now. We will delete this table. It's dependent objects. So what are the dependent objects? These? All right, I'm just going to go through and delete all of these tables. Will this come back to bite me in the butt? Maybe. Hopefully not. Maybe. Again, like I say, every little thing that I feel like shouldn't matter because these are example tables that just whipped up when I set everything up shouldn't be a problem. But with me, it typically is a problem. So I'm going to slide this up here. This one is going to be posts. And we'll keep everything as it sits. I'm not getting anything necessarily specific. I'm going to make some adjustments though, because I just had to eat a little bit of breakfast. I got hungry, sorry. But while I was eating breakfast, whereas I couldn't talk to you because my mouth was full of food, I was getting clarification from ChatGPT on this. Not just getting, but giving. We've already seen this. This is like the first rendition. You really got to drill down into these AIs that are trying to help you out, because you need to make sure they have all the information and that they aren't steered differently based on your previous chat. So I noticed that it was trying to make the IDs serial, but the default in supabase was int8 for the ID. So I'm like, what is that all about? But then I noticed that for the user's database that was already in there, the ID is actually set to UUID, and well, of course, marked as primary. That's a whole primary key idea, and then it has a foreign key relationship from public user's ID to auth user's ID. It's not that I created, it's the example. Again, just to reiterate, so what I said is like, I really need you to update yourself on the current supabase documentation so you can guide me correctly. So that's what it did. It finished browsing, thank goodness. So that you do want to make sure that it does actually browse. It went into supabase documentation, I guess read it all, and then gave me all of this. I said, okay, well, scratch what I said. Scratch the example database, scratch this, because I don't know exactly, because that's what it was kind of going off of. I said, look, all you know is a project I'm building and the supabase documentation. That's it. So based on that, with that info, write the database schemas that I need and guide me through how to make them in supabase. And that's what it did down here, which is perfect. So database schemas right here, same idea, but with more information. Is this misguided? I'm not sure. I will double check after I go ahead and make all of these, but I do want to make all of these and then go from there. So creating your schema in supabase, log in, navigate to table editor, that's where we were. We'll create a new table, name it users. For the ID column, set the type to UUID, primary key. All right, let's do that. It says we don't need a password hash. It doesn't specify that we need a password hash, I should say. So let's just delete that. We're going to save. And then, okay, calm down. New table. We're going to make this posts table, plural. And this is supposed to be UUID, universally unique identifier, generate random value, created at timestamp TZ. It's not specifying that we need timestamp TZ. I'm going to ask it. I'm going to get clarification. It's generally a good practice to use timestamp TZ. So, okay. But you said not to use it. Okay, anyway, we'll just use timestamp TZ. Not a problem. I'll just have to make sure I go back and change the others. Let me go back up. And if y'all have anything, I can obviously go back and change these. So if y'all know better than me, well, you probably do. If you have anything to comment, if you know better than ChatGPT, maybe that's leading me astray, y'all let me know. Again, we're going to check all of this after the fact. Just do a little bit more research, or at least I am. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it off camera. Maybe not. Let's go down to timestamp TZ. Y'all can still see this, correct? Yep. Save. All right. Oh, I did not mean to save. Apologies. I need to add another column being the user ID. So user ID, it is a UUID. Do I want it to generate random or just simply connect to users? All right, works for me. So with that being linked, it's not going to obviously generate a default value like it had before. It's going to use the user ID value to tie in the post, which is identified using the identifier, the ID, with the user. And, oh, I definitely updated it. Y'all are yelling at your screen right now, aren't you? So user ID, and then we have, so in post table, we have title of said post. That is going to be a varchar, add column, content, text. I do find that content like this, not content like this, I'm talking about content like this video right now, for me at least, for long form content. Ouch, I just hit my knee. Long form content is good for that kind of hurt coding along with nullable. All right, so URL varchar, and then we have created that and updated that, which are already done. So we can save. That is the posts table. What we're going to create next is the comments table. But yeah, I like long form content that's more chill and whatever for coding along with. I can't. This is supposed to be UUID. Generate random. Okay. You know, I can't listen to music with words. I like to keep something going on in the background though. Just kind of makes you feel like I'm a part of maybe someone else coding or what have you. Just me? Or do y'all feel that as well? Default value is now, is that the same as what it was before? Updated not updated ID, timestamp, time zone. So is this supposed to be now? Returns current date. So we should set these to now rather than null, which means what I'm going to do before I forget is one, go all the way back to users, edit table, change these to timestamp time zone, and then we're going to set the default value to now. We're going to save that. That should be all good there. I'm not sure if I need to change anything else with, like, for example, the URL, we want to make sure the URL is in fact nullable, but I'm not sure if we want title, content, and all that to be nullable. But if that's default, we'll just keep it there. What am I here for? Now, it's odd that this didn't created at start as now, but that is what it appears that we want. So I'm going to go back to comments. The comments table still needs more additions to it. We need user ID, post ID. So I don't think I need to actually set the type. I just need to add the foreign. So this is users, save, so it'll set it all for me. And then the post ID, that is in fact what I named it, right? Not posts. That's okay. This is its own name. Post ID. Oh yeah, that pulls the ID from post. It's not actually named post. Sorry. A momentary lapse in judgment. Parent comment ID, since this is the comment. So these are replies. Comments, replies, whatever you want to call them. This is the parent comment ID. So you know it's attached. Foreign key to the comment. So it should be attached to the comment, right? And then content. We need the actual content of said comment, and that is going to be text. Finally, we get to use text instead of varchar. Or maybe we already have once. And then we have the timestamps. We're good to go there. It's so upsetting. I apologize that y'all don't get to see the successfully added. It can't be just me that I love those modals. It just kind of pop up and good job, buddy. It's like a little pat on the back. Votes. This is your ability to vote, just like with all of these other, so you know, like literally everything, except for YouTube videos. Well, I guess you can vote. You can thumbs it up. By the way, thumbs up this video, and you can, or that's liking this video, or you can thumbs it down. That's disliking this video, but you can't even see the dislikes unless you have the actual that one extension. But I know in the API that it's different, so I don't know how the extension actually works. Whatever. Updated at timestamp time zone. Is this getting repetitive? Actually, I don't need either of these according to what we have up here, so let's not add those. We're going to do user ID just like normal. To users, save, column, post ID, foreign key relation, so it's connected to the post, and then hook it up to the comment ID, which is obviously going to the comments. All of that is good. Those are all nullable. Vote type, I guess user ID shouldn't be nullable, but we can go back if I need to. Vote type will be upvote or downvote. So this is going to be an enum. Maybe. So apparently I need to go about this slightly differently, or I'm being led astray. But let's do it this way. I'm just going to delete vote type right now. I'm going to save all of these. And this, in a second, is what we're supposed to do. Got to create an enum type. So create type, vote type as enum, upvote, downvote, because that's the two choices. Would you look at that? And I want to run this query. What did I miss? I didn't miss anything. What? Does this not realize this is a word? Debug with supabase AI. Apparently it doesn't like all caps. Okay. Works for me. Let's run. Okay, that's interesting. Even though they use all caps right here. So we want to create that, and then once we have created that, we can go back over to the table editor. And yes, this is not off the top of my head. I'm looking at ChatGPT. Just like I've said previously in tutorials, they know everything because they had just done it like 2, 3, 4 times. Whereas here, we're kind of doing it on the fly. I feel like it just really affects people's confidence when it just affects people's confidence. So since I created type vote type, oh, would you look at that? Type vote type. Oh, so that's what these are. Oh, enumerated types. How silly of me. This is my problem. If I were to just read, things would be a lot smoother. These must have been created via the setup. during the setup process. Anyway, so what that'll do is allow it to be either, what do we call it? Upvote, downvote, perfect, save. And that is it for the tables, the database schema, if you will. One cool thing that they have that I have actually seen is it this? Or is it back over here? Let me see. Oh yeah, it's right here. Schema Visualizer. So that's pretty cool. You can see how it's connected. Still don't know. Okay, so this is auth user's ID. Presumably that is connecting to supabase auth. Don't know how that works just yet, but let's just assume that's the case. We have our users. Actually, let's go from all the way back here to upvotes. Upvotes is tied into comments in various different ways. We have comments tied back into, or no, tied over to posts in various different ways, and posts tied into users in various different ways, and those users are authorized. Sounds good to me. Dude, so you may be wondering why my face is in the middle of the screen. Well, that's because we're over in authentication in Supabase, because that's what I want to set up next, the full authentication, and then work on the authentication side in the app, so in the code, but it's already done, presumably, considering the fact that we already have an email sign up. The platform's nothing. But you know how it's being hosted on vercel. What is it? devnotesplatform.vercel.com or whatever. Well, I'm covering their email. That's kind of funny. Don't you? Oh, cool. So I guess you signed up somehow. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So there's that. I just thought that was interesting. But I guess that means everything works. So that's good. Do I need to change some of these auth settings? I'm not sure. But for now, since it works, it got the email, good to go. Now we can move on to front-end development. You see how easy it is for me to get distracted. I had a meeting about this thing that I'll talk about with y'all at some point, and then I read a comment, and they asked if DevNotes is available via RSS feed. So what I did is I said, not yet. Might as well make it available via RSS feed. And this is all I did. I just added the RSS URL to the footer, and it opens up. Yeah, this is just XML file, blah, 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 but you can copy the URL up here. I don't use RSS feeds, so I am not sure best practice. Is this good? Will this work fine? Do you think you'd look down at the bottom in the footer here to see if there's a RSS feed URL? I don't know. But actually, I should probably push this up to my GitHub repo and go from there. Added RSS URL to footer. All right, commit, and all right, and we're syncing. And what's cool about this is that's all I have to do. You know, I say cool about this. That's how everything should be set up. You shouldn't have to go do anything beyond that. When you push the code, well, in theory, it shouldn't go to production. It should go to development, then you test it, blah, 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 but this is just a little thing, so obviously it goes directly to production. And the way it does that is, as you can see, DevNotes daily repo on GitHub is updated now. So that's all that it was, just one little file. And you can see the deployments right here, which takes you over here. These are all the deployments, which you will find over on your vercel, since this is obviously on vercel, and build logs. So it's ready now. Everything went through, added RSS URL to footer. Now if I visit the site, the official site, now let's go, I mean this is the official site, but let's go to actualdevnotesdaily.com. As you can see, subscribe via RSS. Just like that.
So this here is going to get some use tomorrow. Smoking a Boston Bud. I'm pretty stoked on it. I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm going to eat it while we watch the UFC fight, which is probably going on as soon as I'm uploading this video here. We got the database schema stuff done, which is nice. That's what y'all just watched, right? And I was hopping in to the front-end development stuff, and obviously with the front-end development stuff, well, what do you need? Data. So I was going to populate the database with some data, some posts based on our database schema. And then I needed to fetch the posts. And then I needed to update the home page with maybe a post feed.tsx and just have everything over there so that gets thrown over into the home page. So that's what you see right when you get in there. But I just ended up playing around with it and then doing more research on the overall structure and a little bit more research into the app router stuff and how it all works, because I need a better understanding. Like, I understand how it all works, but I need to understand the intricacies of how these frameworks and databases and things work in order to just make better decisions as I build out that application. So that's what I did. And that's the reason why I'm showing you a little bit of overlay B-roll. So in case you're just listening to this while you code, there is some overlay of me just doing some of those things, but then going back, deleting this, maybe trying this over there, maybe lull spots, whatever. Because I ended up, after messing with it a bunch, not that much, just messing with it a little bit, I should say, I decided I was just going to do the research. So that's what I did. And I'm going to do more research over the weekend, because on Monday, for Monday's episode, I want to come in more prepared. I want to come in, obviously not like a tutorial. You could probably tell this episode was a little bit more cut up than the previous episodes. Oh, and by the way, we're not done just yet. I'm going back in the office after this little talk to show y'all a little bit of the Dev Notes growth and a little bit look into the ads and the marketing and how things are operating on that side of things. I just wanted to log that right now currently. So that'll be at the end of the video. So no, obviously I don't want it to be like a tutorial. I still want you to see my thought process as I go through it, but I want to have a more prepared stance, so I'm not just doing a lot of research during the thought process. Does that make sense? I'll still do some research, but a little bit more prepared. That's it. I think it'll be better that way. I think it'll make for not only better videos, but better coding sessions as well. And yeah, coding session. Today, we didn't really code, right? But I'm going to call it a coding session regardless. That's where we sit now. Let's take it back into the office. And by the way, I do these out here and in there because it's just mundane staying in the office all the time. I gotta get outside myself, and I figured it would be a lot more enjoyable for y'all to come outside with me or do this with me in the truck. And there's a lot of other things that I do that maybe I'll take y'all along with, like when I was feeding the chickens and whatnot. But I just had to break up the monotony. But we are going back into the office. I'm gonna show y'all a little thing or two. This is the Beehive dashboard. So Beehive is the Dev Notes newsletter platform that I use. I think it was created by people who were like in on the ground floor of what's that one? The Morning Brew. I've actually worked with them in the past. I think that's how it came about. Anyway, the idea is that you're able to write in here, and they have a lot of other tools and audience and analyze, blah blah blah. But I just want to show you this dashboard real quick and kind of where we're at, which is insane. So here, signups past week. So, you know, we had 2 signups this day and 2 signups on Sunday, and then Monday had 8 signups. But then Tuesday, that's when the first episode of the Dev Startup series came out, 163 signups. And then Wednesday, 121 signups. And then Thursday, still residual from day 1 episode, but this is also when day 2 episode came out. And then Friday, it's currently Friday, so presumably this number will go up. Will it hit 100? Probably not, but I do expect this to kind of level off, maybe at around, I don't know, maybe 50 or so. I assume it'll level off unless one of these videos really pops off, because presumably the same people will continue to watch these videos who are, in theory, already signed up to the Dev Notes newsletter, but it'll be interesting to see the data. Yeah, and up here, well, one, you can see some of the recent posts, like Unity CEO steps down. If you don't know about the Unity drama, I made a whole video going over everything, and we mentioned a few things because it's about developers. So we mentioned a few things in the Dev Notes newsletter. Stack Overflow cuts 28% of its workforce because of AI. Node.js 21 is here, which I briefly mentioned at the beginning of this video, but didn't really go into detail about it. So now,
this is kind of like the growth chart. So we did like a little soft launch. I think I did like a community post or whatever back in July. Back in July, it was a community post or two. So just like a post on, on YouTube in case you're unfamiliar with the term. And then I think I integrated it into a video here. So community post or two went from 0 to 162 in about a month. And then a week after that went from 162 to 374 when integrating it into a single video. And then it just kind of kept going up from there, from 374 on August 12th all the way to 2 months later, 685. And then obviously these are the jumps that we just saw. It actually jumped from 700. That's what it was exactly, maybe 701, exactly when I uploaded the video, dev startup day 1, and then bang, went all the way. Now we're at 1,100 active subscribers. We have a 40% open rate, which is actually dropping, presumably because we're getting more subscribers. But again, any of these ghost subscribers, gone. We're going to remove them if they haven't opened one of the newsletters within the past, month or whatever. We'll figure it out. And then average click rate. This should be higher. It's not a bad click rate. I think it's above average click rate, I believe, in terms of like the market. But it could be higher. It's just we don't include as many ads as I think we should. Not ads. We don't include any ads yet. We don't include as many links as we should, or people clearly just want the digestible content that we include in Dev Notes. Although there is one other thing that kind of goes in with the growth, and that is what I've previously mentioned, Reddit ads. As you can see over here, I spent $9 this day, $9 that day, $10 that day. I actually would rather go to impressions. No, not impressions, clicks. Let's go to clicks. You can see everything down here as a matter of fact, but I like the graph as well. But what occurred was, in the span of this entire campaign, 66 clicks, and I spent $47 for those 66 clicks. And during this time, before I uploaded the video, so I uploaded the video on the 17th, so this was 13 clicks, this was 14 clicks, this was 16 clicks. I only got like 1 or 2 signups each one of these days. Not even necessarily from Reddit. But then I upload a single video, and then you see that giant spike that I showed you previously, this one. So I said, okay, it's at this point in time, of course, this ad is not optimized. My budget is really low. I understand all of that, but it's not worth paying 72 cents per click with no guarantee of conversion. So I decided to go ahead and pause it, which is why you see 0 and 0 over here, because I paused it after I saw that it's just not worth it at this point. I think doubling down on this series and doubling down on the Dev Notes YouTube channel is. So that's really all I have to say about that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Didn't get the UI done, but we did get the database schema stuff done, even though I believe I have to make a few adjustments. This video should hopefully come out on Saturday. So as y'all are seeing this Saturday, I'm going to get back to work on Monday. Y'all going to see the next episode on Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe if you like the series. Share it with your friends so we can continue this series. And I'm ready to get the ball rolling. I mean, the ball is rolling, but I'm ready to dive into the code and get a platform up and have y'all enjoy it, y'all use it, and just see where it goes from there. That's all I got. Y'all have a good weekend, and I'll see y'all next week.